Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'd love it if you do me the small favor of hitting that subscribe button. It's one click for you, but it's a big deal for the channel, and I would, as I mentioned, really appreciate that. So let's take a look at what's on the table. Now, recently I have sort of fallen in love with the line of knives from Terrain365. You know, I had the Invictus and the STS-AT. And then I got a hold of this cool little thing, which you've seen a review of already. This is the P38. These are marvelous tools. But I was given the opportunity to trade for another one recently and realized that I like them enough that I was willing to do that. And so I brought the Terrain365 Otter-AT into the collection. This is a nifty, small, light, easy carry. This also is in their Dendritic Cobalt, or Terravantium, as they call it. It is ceramic bearings on brass races. The titanium on the inside is milled out. As you can see, it's got almost a full-length backspacer with a really nice spot for a lanyard right there. I don't lanyard, but you could. It's got a beautiful pocket clip. This is just a really, really well-made knife. Let's get the hang up. Of course, these are $329 on their website if you can get one. They seem to be sold out right now. Now, they do make a double detent slippy version of one of these that's considerably less money, but I'm not a slip joint guy. So this was the one for me. I traded for this. There's one other knife that they make that I am hunting for now, and I will have all of them. It's the way it goes sometimes when you're a collector. You find something you really like and you go after it. I love the blade shape on this thing, right? It is almost a traditional in its shape and outline. Very simple, very straightforward, very comfortable, and very slicey. This is a great pocket knife. It's not sort of tactical, coolish, kind of, you know, like its big STS-AT brother here, and it's not sort of a factory version of a Michael Vagnino custom like the P38 is here. This is such a cool knife. Nope. The Otter is just a knife, and it's a really well done one at that. So let's take a look at what you get. You get 2.94, 2.95 inches of cutting on just at 3 inches of the Terravantium. The grip area from behind the flipper is 3 1/4. As you can see, my finger does hang off, but because, again, of this incredibly neutral handle shape, I still get a really good grip on this thing. Like, it feels very locked in. It's very nice. The blade itself has got a little bit of jimping right here where your thumb would land. Now, my thumb comes a little farther forward because of the size of my hands, but I can still feel it. It's not aggressive, but it's present. I mentioned the full-length backspacer, which I think is beautiful, and of course there is that little lanyard spot. The knife itself, from end to end, is just at 7 inches. Closed length, 3.85, 3.9 inches. It is not a big knife. Closed profile is really very well done. Let's see, let me line it up there. So we're talking about 1 1/8 inches. Right? It really does not fill the pocket, but it does quite nicely fill the hand. And again, this blade shape, it's got a little bit, look at that shape. Right? Almost a harpoon. It's just lovely. It's got enough belly up here at the tip if you're going to be doing cutting on the board this way. Plenty of cutting surface, and it does come down to a very nice edge. It's just a well-done knife. Now, the flipper tab is a little pokey, but that's okay because the knife is really small. And they give you this really nice sort of landing spot right here for your finger. This is a well-done tool. I really like it. Let's do some size comparisons. You've already seen it against its big brother. We'll do it against the Invictus. As you can see, the Invictus is just, while similar in shape, it's just a much, much larger knife. Here it is against our old friend, the Bug Out. And as you can see, the Otter is smaller than the Bug Out. You know, it's a small knife, but man, is it a well-done small knife. I mentioned this in another video recently. The Bug Out is a great knife, but it's too thin through the handle for me. I just always feel like I'm kind of looking for the right place to grab on. The Otter-AT here is relatively thick. I don't mean it's fat or anything, but it's relatively thick through the handle, and because of the way that it's shaped, you just lock in. It's really marvelous. Let's do some big knife comparisons just for fun. Here it is against the PM2. As you can see, it is much, much smaller than the PM2. This is a Nick Shabazz-sized knife. It really is. And here it is against a Papa Bear Knives fixed blade that I love. This is their little light EDC tool. And as you can see, these are very, very similar in size, right? I just really like this knife, so I was looking for an excuse to show it off. And finally, here it is against the Sog Terminus Xr. Very similar in length. You know, the thing about these Terrain365 knives is that their claim to fame is their complete weather resistance and the fact that they're non-magnetic. Means realistically these likely wouldn't set off a metal detector. That's not important, don't ever test that, but it's there. Which means they're not going to mess up electronics in your pocket because they're not going to bang into them. They have no magneticness to them. They're not going to magnetize if you have them around other things that are magnets. They're not going to rust or take on color. I don't know. I think it's cool. Now, I've mentioned in a couple of my videos that I'm trying really hard to sort of find my way back to the land of small knives because I have to for work, right? It's important. And so I've really been enjoying sort of smaller, easier to carry knives, stuff that kind of disappears into the pocket. My chosen knife size is stuff more like this, right? The Damn Design Banshee. This is a big knife. It's everything I love in a knife. It's big, it's chunky, it's kind of aggressive looking, but it really doesn't work for me on a daily basis right now because of what I have to do and where I have to go. This Otter is ideal. Because of its sort of neutral and nondescript shape, when I take it off the clip and slip it into the pocket, it just drops down and kind of disappears. And yet, everything I need to do during the day that requires an edge, this tool has been more than happy to accomplish. And I really like that. And because of the shape of the blade, which again is very much like the Invictus, as you can see, it's just a little smaller. It has just enough tip on it that if I needed to suggest that somebody move along or push cut into something, it will do that. Is it worth $330? I don't know. That would be up to you. For me, considering that this does spend time straight in my pocket, and you know, I'm a big guy, I sweat, knowing that this thing is not going to react at all to body oils or sweat or to foods when I use it to cut food, is very satisfying to me. It's one of the reasons I like the entire Terrain365 line so much. I can take this thing to the beach when we go, or up to the mountains if we go up to visit the snow, if it ever snows here in California again, and know that if I get wet or muddy or dirty, this knife just isn't going to care. And that makes me very happy. Now, I've heard some people say, can you sharpen the Dendritic Cobalt? Well, the answer is yes. Now, they're pretty clear on their website that you're not supposed to put a razor edge on it. They don't come with, I mean, they come hair-popping sharp, but the edge is a little thicker, I think, than most people would expect. But something about the way the grain is on the Terravantium means that it continues to hold that edge. I have cut a ton of stuff with this, and it has not let me down, nor has it needed sharpening yet. In fact, the only one I had to have sharpened, and you've heard me talk about this before, was the STS-AT here, because whoever owned it before me sharpened it with a Dremel or something equally awful. I had a buddy of mine put a low polish, not a super high polish, but a low polish edge on this thing a while back, and it remains razor sharp no matter, and I've done my daily cutting tasks with this now for weeks. It's really, it holds an edge beautifully. So is it CPM 20 CV? No. Is it well done ZDP 189? Well, no, of course not. But it still retains and maintains an edge very, very well. So this is a great tool for that. It's reasonably light. you know, I mean, like I said, it seems there's milling. Let's see if I can get this thing fired up, not blind you guys. The scales are milled, at least the, as you can see, sorry, it is a frame lock. I suppose I'm supposed to say that. People get upset if I don't. The show side is milled. The frame side, lock side, is not. But it's still reasonably light. Now, part of that's because it's a small knife. Well, let's find out how light it is. Knowing that the bug out is, what, 1.8, 1.9? Bug out being the sort of, yeah, 1.8. I think this is going to be 3 ounces. 2.8 ounces. So it's an ounce heavier than the bug out, but it's full tie. So it doesn't really surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise you either. The action is very, very good. Now, it's a very light blade, and yet it snaps out of there without problem. It doesn't drop shut, again, because how light it is, but one little wiggle, and down it comes. I wonder if I can fail it. Nope. The detent is dialed in very well. If on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it drops out of the knife when I do that, 10 being so stiff you can't open it at all, I'm going to call this a 7. Very snappy without being sort of angry about it. I really like it. I keep saying that because it surprises me. Again, I'm learning how to like small knives again. Let's see how much of the Terravantium they give you. At the thickest point, you get 3.06, 3.06 millimeters. By way of example, the bug out blade is 2.3 millimeters. So it's a slightly thicker slab of blade material than you get on the bug out. It's a little shorter, but not much. Comes down to a very nice edge. Let's see how we do on a sort of paper slicey test. Yeah. It does pretty good. It's not a razor blade. I am bad at this. But as you can see, it takes off a nice clean cut, and in the end that's really what you're after. Now, I've been carrying this thing for a while, so maybe it does need to be stropped up, or however I'm going to manage that. It's funny, sometimes I see these guys on other channels and they are just master paper whittlers. Like, they just pick it up and they... I've never been that good at it. I don't know if it's the way I hold the paper or what, but it always cracks me up. There's always a bit of risk with me doing that particular show because I don't know if I'm going to screw it up or not. Yeah, that was the bug out. It's sharp. All right, guys. This has been the Terrain365 Otter-AT. Another one in their excellent line of completely weather, stain, and rust-proof knives. If you have any questions about this knife, feel free to ask down in the comments below. Or if you'd like to know about any of my knives, feel free to ask down in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer. Hope you guys are having a great day. We'll see you next time.